The recent news that Emma has been released from her WWE contract marks the end of an odd 6-year stint under Vince McMahon's employ. In 2011, the 28-year-old became the first ever Australian female wrestler to join the company's ranks, but despite her obvious talent, she never really managed to shine as she deserved to. Much of this, it should be said, owes not to her own shortcomings, but to the creative team's continual lack of direction. Surprise, surprise. Instead of helping her grow as a character, they've been intent on shunting her from one failed project to the next. What a waste. I'm Ben from What Culture, and here are 9 things WWE want you to forget about Emma. Number 9. She's a good worker. Emma and Paige started the women's revolution. Don't at me. They just did. Paige versus Emma for the NXT Women's Championship, NXT Arrival. That is where it happened. I don't think it would have gone down very well if Emma wrestled like a Poundland action figure. Do you? For further evidence of Emma's ability in the ring, look no further than her match with Asuka at TakeOver London back in December 2015, a rare moment during which the Australian was given the opportunity to take centre stage at a major show. Number 8. This isn't her first release. The Australian was also let go in July 2014 in a decision that was thought to be linked with a shoplifting charge, later referred to as a misunderstanding. Considering that WWE wrestlers these days are fairly well paid, you're inclined to believe that too. Emma was out of work for all of a few hours before the company decided that mistakes happen, and the then 25-year-old had a future with them after all. At least one person, it seems, was batting for her backstage, even if it rarely felt like it afterwards. Number 7. Naya Jaxs' tweet. It's hard to separate the real from the kayfabe in WWE these days, but at least some fans believed that the Twitter dressing down Emma received from Nia Jax last month was legit. Jaxs actually suggested in her tweet that the Emmalina debacle of last year was Emma's own doing, accusing her of failing to capitalise on what was allegedly a great opportunity. Right there is probably where it became clear that she was only joking, but regardless, it probably isn't the type of thing that the company wants us to remember, since that failed push and its subsequent fallout is arguably one of the major reasons she now finds herself out of the job. Number 6. She accidentally won a match. With Emma now being released, it's rather shocking to imagine that the company once booked her to win a fatal 4-way match involving lead female lights Charlotte and Becky Lynch. It's shocking because they never actually did. She did, however, accidentally win the match, also involving Dana Brooke, on an August 2015 episode of NXT. You could tell something wasn't right immediately from the way Emma sheepishly stood up after covering Becky Lynch. Reports after the show suggest that Becky was momentarily knocked out for real, or at least heavily dazed, rendering her unable to get the shoulder up in time and giving Emma what was probably one of her biggest career victories in the process. Number 5. She went 3 years without a pay-per-view match. Prior to this year's No Mercy, where she competed in the 5-woman scramble for Alexa's Raw Women's title, Emma's last main roster pay-per-view outing was way back at Survivor Series 2014. Part of those 3 years, of course, was spent back in the developmental ranks, the rest of it largely ruined by the failed Emmalina project, along with 1 or 2 untimely injuries. But above all, it really speaks to the fact that WWE had no idea what it was doing with Emma for much of her time on the main roster. Even when they did throw her a bone, it was only so she could be squarely fed to Asuka for what turned out to be her farewell match. Number 4. She had 2 main roster call-ups. Originally debuting on the main roster in 2014, where she struck up a friendship with the soon-to-retire Santino Marella, Emma was soon demoted 12 months later. She returned to the developmental ranks, essentially having to publicly make the admission that she wasn't yet ready for a stint in the big time, and that can't have been fun. Another year in NXT then followed, during which many of her contemporaries went the other direction. This decision could have gone either way, but given that she's now been released, it doesn't seem to have helped her chances at all. Number 3. She went the distance with Asuka. Kurt Angle stole the headlines at TLC, but the show was also notable for the main roster bow of Asuka, the NXT record setter, defeating Emma in the show's opener to extend her undefeated run, but not without a brief scare. Someone, presumably in the WWE hierarchy, was aware of Emma's imminent release, making the decision to put her in a relatively competitive 10-minute match with the woman who is about to dominate Raw a rather strange one. A few voices say there's more to her release than meets the eye. Whatever the case, though, it's probably safe to assume that in the history books, this one will be recorded as a routine win for the Empress of Tomorrow. Number 2. Emmalina. After months of vignettes hyping the debut of Emmalina, the Aussie's supposedly Sable-like alter ego, she eventually returned in her original guise. Nothing had changed on screen, and off it, we were all made aware that the company lost faith in her ability to play her new role. It's even been suggested that WWE officials were purposely putting her through the ringer in the aid of a funny, long-running joke. Emma probably didn't see the punchline, and frankly, neither did many of the fans either. Number 1. Lio Rush's ill-thought-out joke. What a dickhead. You should probably get your feet under the NXT table before you go making any Twitter jokes at the expense of a well-liked and recently departed member of the WWE roster. This is the lesson Lio Rush learned the hard way this week after mischievously suggesting Emma's departure was a consequence of her losing to Asuka at TLC. Cue a lot of follow-up tweets from his fellow professionals, including an out-of-character Bray Wyatt reproaching him for being so insensitive. This, of course, was made worse by the fact that Emma herself greeted the news with a cryptic heartbreak emoji. WWE will be hoping we forget about one of its brightest young talent's public slip-up, and so too will Rush himself. The 22-year-old has barely been with the company a minute, and backstage heat of this kind probably won't be welcome so early in his career. And that's our list. Make sure you subscribe to the What Culture Wrestling YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. I'm Ben from What Culture, and thanks for watching.
Oh, wasn't that something? Don't forget to like, share and subscribe below, and also the people who made this lovely video, they're appearing right here. But if you're thinking to yourself, I want to see more content, Jules, then why not look above my head, as there probably is some. I don't know. I can't see it. Until next time.